Hi, I'm David Abramowitz. I was the, I guess they called me creative consultant or executive creative consultant. I was a supervising producer in the first year. I was the creative consultant and the executive creative consultant. I got confused myself, but most of the time I was in charge of the writing.
Hi, I'm Bill Panzer. With my partner Peter Davis, I produced the Highlander movies. We got involved in the Highlander TV series. It was probably the best 6 years of my life. I was the executive producer along with the usual host of executive producers that you have in television. We shot all over the place. We had a great time. I got to meet David Abramowitz. It was truly a magical period.
Before you go, the world used to say, or I used to say, I was the mother of the show, he was the father.
Talk about the Odd Couple.
I'm still waiting for my ring.
Not to mention your residuals. Okay. So starting the second season was kind of an exciting moment.
It was a mess, actually, if you really want to know the truth.
I know, but look, we had Michael York, who wanted to play Joe Dawson. We had David McCallum, who wanted to play Joe Dawson, who we met with.
Yeah.
But we cast Jim Burns to play Joe Dawson.
He had a certain quality that was just more real, more earthy than the other two.
And he had a decent TV cue from Wise Guy. He was an interesting guy. He'd come from St. Louis. He'd moved to Canada. He had done 2 tours in Vietnam. He had lost his legs in Vietnam. He was like a man. He was a real mensch.
He didn't lose his legs in a car accident? In the episode we did about his history, we wrote that he lost his legs in Vietnam. It was a car accident, actually.
It shows you how reality can blend.
No, Jim was great. I mean, I just thought that he brought a lot of depth to the role. He had his own trials to live through in his life, being handicapped, and he was a wonderful actor. But more than an actor, he was a great presence on the screen. And it was only later, when we moved in the next third year, that we moved him into his jazz club, that we really utilized his character in a way that was really fitting to him. Originally conceived, the character was more studious, was a much tighter personality, but which is why we looked at David McCallum and Michael York, but we really made the best choice for the series. He was one of the fan favorites throughout all the years that we did the show.
And we got a chance to introduce the Watchers and a fascinating subculture existing around the immortal world, and the first time that we did something that was an extension of the movies. This was something that was never conceived of in the movies. It was a Highlander television original and became a fascinating subtext for us.
Yeah, as I remember, you and Marla brought that idea to the party, and I just expanded on it a little bit, and I thought it was a great idea because it enabled us to bring in a human perspective into the show that wasn't there before. So it wasn't just about immortals and their battles. It was about Watchers, and what was most interesting about that, I think, was that it gave the audience actually took part. They could identify with the Watchers. They could identify with it's hard to identify with someone who's immortal sometimes and live for 800 or 1,000 or 500 years. But a Watcher was just a normal human being. And so the audience could find themselves saying, I could be that guy. And I think Joe became everyman of the show. He became the audience in a big way.
And was the first Watcher that we dealt with who sort of started to step over the line a little bit. That was the separation between the Watchers and the Immortals, and didn't just observe, didn't just record, but occasionally chose a side and started to help.
He had a definite rooting interest.
He had an agenda, absolutely.
Right, and his agenda was that Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod should be the one, because he believed that he was not only a great fighter, but had a righteous soul, and he was right.
That's why we went 6 seasons.
Probably.